The night watcher fly free, cross the still of the dawn. And if peace were a mountain, we'd gather around her to bathe in her silence, her power, her hear it, and I feel it. And love, peace, and wisdom are all that we need. Some call me a dreamer, some will call me a seeker, one who follows the stars on a quest for the truth. But every believer holds a deep hidden memory of a time when the earth was a flower in bloom. We long to return to that place of still waters and sit on the banks under some shady tree. In my mind, I can see it, I hear it, and I believe it. And love, peace, and wisdom are the three golden keys.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, brothers and sisters, greetings of peace and good wishes. My name is Celia, and I'm very honored to be your MC for this evening's event. So very good evening to everyone, and a very warm welcome to everyone who is tuning in tonight, and a very special welcome to our three honored guests, His Excellency Sri B.N. Reddy, Indian High Commissioner to Malaysia, BK Sister Jayanti, and Madam Taslima Sawa, wife of Bangladesh Deputy High Commissioner to Malaysia, and Dato Lachimanan. Very warm welcome to each and every one of you. And well, every year, March 8th is a very special day for women. And I must say, for men as well, because men are included in women, right? Well, March 8th is the United Nations International Women's Day, a day to uphold women's achievements, a day to recognize the challenges they face, and a day to focus greater attention on women's rights and gender equality. And I'm very pleased to mention that the Brahma Kumaris in Malaysia, as well as Brahma Kumari centers all over the world, have been supporting and celebrating this special event yearly. And this year in Malaysia, we have chosen the theme, the role of women in value-based leadership. Generally, women are natural leaders, and hence they have a vital role, especially in value-based leadership. In fact, in all spheres of life and society, and of course at home as well, because they have inborn ability to instill inclusiveness, cooperation, and a shared vision within a community. Women are generally not afraid to share power with those they lead or to empathize with them, and even to consider the human side of individuals. So I must say women have what it takes to add value to leadership. And there are many examples of such women leaders in the world. So I would now like to invite you to watch a special video we have prepared for today's event, the video on words of inspiration by powerful leaders.
The world will only be a better place when its inhabitants are better people. The past 60 years of my life have been dedicated to realizing a vision of a better self and better world. Houses can be built with bricks, but it is what is in our hearts that builds a lovely home.
Come on. This has to change. Women make up more than half of the world's population and potential. So it is neither just nor practical for their voices, for our voices, to go unheard at the highest levels of decision making. The way that we change that, in my opinion, is to mobilize girls and women to see their value as leaders and to support them in these efforts.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last. Because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities. And to the children of our country, dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way.
I think girls shouldn't shy away from science and technology. My worry there is that in the pipeline and coming through, in my company, 25% of the workforce of about 6,000 are engineers, and I think hardly one or two of them are women. If girls do not embrace science and technology, it will hurt the pipeline even more and the ability for them to become leaders. So those are the little things I think that girls can take on.
I am inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when?
Thank you. Dear brothers and sisters, this event is brought to you by Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, which is part of a global organization that spans all 5 continents with more than 8,000 centers in about 140 countries. In addition, I would like to share that Brahma Kumaris Worldwide is the world's largest spiritual organization led by women. So to give you a glimpse of who the Brahma Kumaris are, let us watch this short video clip.
Living values produces greatness and gives significance to human life. Today, to some degree, human life drifts without direction and meaning. Over the last 8 decades, the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University has been working to uplift society with living values. The inspiration behind this was the love and benevolence of the Supreme Being. In 1936, in Sindh, Pakistan, the Supreme Power gave divine inspirations to Dada Lekraj, and the seed of the Om Mandali was planted. Dada had deep faith in the One who made him responsible for the establishment of the new era and gave him the name Prajapita Brahma. Following the India and Pakistan partition in 1950, Om Mandali relocated to India at Mount Tabu, Rajasthan, and thereafter members stepped forward to serve society both within India and overseas. This organization became known as the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University. Since then, the university has spread across the world and has 9,000 branches in 133 countries. Pandav Bhavan at Mount Tabu became the international headquarters of the organization. Brahma Kumaris has been conducting conferences and seminars at national and international levels to build a values-based society. 1981 was a landmark year as the university received recognition as a non-governmental organization at the United Nations, and the same year, Brahma Kumaris Malaysia was established at Bangsar, Kuala Lumpur to serve the various sectors of society. Brahma Kumaris Malaysian headquarters was relocated at the Asia Retreat Center in Denkel, Selangor in the year 2014. Instrument members are imparting the knowledge of Raja Yoga without charge to everyone in around 60 centers in East and West Malaysia, and to date, thousands have stepped out of their limited belief systems with the elevated feeling of one world family. Om Shanti.
Thank you. We are indeed honored. I'm very happy that the Indian High Commission in Malaysia has been supporting the Brahma Kumaris in various programs and activities. This year again, the Indian High Commissioner to Malaysia, His Excellency Sri B.N. Reddy, will be giving the opening remarks. So please allow me to share with you some background information about His Excellency. Mr. B.N. Reddy took up his duties as High Commissioner of India in Malaysia in September 2021. Mr. B.N. Reddy belongs to the 1993 batch of the Indian Foreign Service. He has had varied experience of diplomatic assignments, having served in Indian missions in Indonesia, Laos, United States, Switzerland, Nigeria, as well as in Malaysia a decade ago. Mr. Reddy has been serving as a Joint Secretary in charge of international cooperation at the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas just before he took up his assignment in Malaysia. So over to you, His Excellency. Thank you for joining us today.
Dato Lakshmanan Ramatha, President Brahma Kumaris, Malaysia, Sister Meera Nagananda, Director Brahma Kumaris, Malaysia, and all the sisters and brothers of Brahma Kumaris in Malaysia and across the globe. Namaskar. I am delighted to join you virtually for the International Women's Day celebrations on the role of women in value-based leadership being organized by Brahma Kumaris, Malaysia. As I reflected on the United Nations theme for this year's observance, I quote, "Gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow," which recognizes and celebrates the women and girls who are leading the charge on climate change, adaptation and response, and honors their leadership and contribution towards a sustainable future. I am reminded of the great Indian philosopher Swami Vivekananda's words, and I quote, "There is no chance for the welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved. It is not possible for a bird to fly on only one wing. There is no hope for that family or country where there is no estimation of women, where they live in sadness. For this reason, they have to be raised first." Unquote. In India, women have been central not only in our civilizational journey, but also more recently in the current Indian political life and society. The exemplary role played by women, both from India and from the then Malaya in the Indian freedom struggle, as part of the all-women Rani of Jhansi regiment in the Indian National Army, is remembered to this day with great pride. The role of women in shaping families, societies and nations needs no explanation. In a nutshell, however, as Gandhiji once said, I quote, "If you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate an entire family." Unquote. International Women's Day is an important occasion to recognize the extraordinary contribution of women to societies and nations, and also celebrate and critically evaluate the progress made towards achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. The core of gender equality and women's empowerment lies in female education, not limited to literacy, but also encompassing financial literacy. This has been the guiding factor in the various flagship programs being implemented by the Government of India, focusing on significantly expanding women's financial inclusion, employment and self-employment opportunities, healthcare, nutrition, safety, security and education. I am happy to share that while political empowerment of women, which is embedded in our constitution in the form of 33% reservation for total seats for women in local self-government bodies, 20 Indian states have gone even beyond to make provisions for 50% reservation of total seats for women in legislative bodies at the local level. I think this truly epitomizes the shift underway in India under Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's from women's development to women-led development. Today, in India, for more than 1.3 million elected women representatives lead in formulation and implementation of public policies at the grassroots level. We also have all women panchayats at the grassroots level leadership. Government of India has taken decisive steps to financially empower Indian women through various schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and the Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. We achieved an important milestone of financial inclusion wherein under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana scheme, for the first time, over 220 million Indian women were brought into the banking system. Innovative use of digital technologies has provided equal opportunity for women to access insurance, loans and social assistance. Direct benefit transfer has enabled the Government of India to transfer over 309 billion rupees to the bank accounts directly of 220 million Indian women. Government of India has also prioritized gender targets within the Indian Skill Program and initiatives for promoting women's entrepreneurship and encouraging access for women to credit without collateral under schemes such as Mudra Yojana and Stand Up India. Under the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, collateral-free loans have been provided to over 260 million Indian citizens, of which over 68% of these loans have been provided to women-owned and operated enterprises. Similarly, under the Stand Up India scheme, to promote entrepreneurship among those who are underserved, including female entrepreneurs, more than 97,000 loans have been sanctioned since its inception, and again, majority of the beneficiaries, about 81% of these loans have been sanctioned to women. In line with the Government of India's focus on gender equality and women's empowerment, Ministry of Women and Child Development celebrated the International Women's Day week from 1st to 8th March 2022 as an iconic week as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, under which a series of events were held all over India. As part of the celebrations, the Honorable Minister of Women and Child Development of India launched Stree Manoraksha project in collaboration with NIMHANS Bengaluru. The project seeks to address the psychological well-being and improving the mental health of women in India by extending mental health training to 6,001 stop center or OSCs across India in a sensitively handling cases of distressed women. While government initiatives in promoting women empowerment and gender equality at the national level are important, it does not absolve each and every one of us from playing our individual roles in furthering this very important cause. I once again thank very much the Brahma Kumaris Malaysia for inviting me to speak on this occasion, and my personal regards to Sister Meera Nagananda, Director of Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, for this invitation. I wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Mr. Reddy, for your very informative opening speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, we are very, very fortunate to have with us this evening a very special person, all the way from London, but now visiting India, right, Sister Jayanti?
Om Shanti.
Shanti, yeah. Just allow me to introduce. So Sister Jayanti, I must say, is a perfect example of what a powerful and a balanced leader is. And before I invite Sister Jayanti to speak on the theme, Role of Women in Value-Based Leadership, please allow me to introduce this special lady to all of you. Sister Jayanti is the additional administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University. She's also the director of the Brahma Kumaris activities in Europe and the Middle East. And in that capacity, she looks after more than 20 countries and also assists with overall coordination of BK activities in over 100 countries. Since 1980, Sister Jayanti has been Brahmakumari's main representative to the United Nations in Geneva. This has led her to participate in many UN conferences and projects in connection with women, youth, the environment, and many others. She has therefore undertaken extensive research into the role of spiritual values in the world and has worked tirelessly to promote positive human spiritual values to all sectors of society. And Sister Jayanti sees the erosion of spiritual values at the heart of the underlying cause of the crisis that the world is facing today. And so before I pass over to Sister Jayanti, I'd like to let you all know that there will be Q&A after Sister Jayanti's talk. So please drop in your questions in the chat box. So Sister Jayanti, a very warm welcome again. Thank you very much for joining us, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my privilege and my honor to be joining you all today. And it's wonderful that you have a wonderful panel that are going to be sharing their experiences also. And I agree wholeheartedly with the quote that His Excellency, the High Commissioner, has spoken about the wings of the bird being able to fly when both are in sync. A bird cannot fly if it has just one wing. And so definitely, if the future of the world is to be a better one than it is today, and I deeply, sincerely believe that that is the case, that I think although the world seems very dark and distressed at the moment, what lies ahead of us is definitely a better world. And that is the motivation that keeps me going. But like we also heard the quote from Daddy Janki, the world can only be a better place if there's a better me. And so we begin with the self, and it reaches out to our family, it reaches out to our workplace, and it reaches out gradually across to the world also. I know that there have been women leaders in many different spheres, but I want to just mention very briefly, you saw several of them in the little brilliant video that we saw a little earlier, but I want to tell you a little bit about the leaders that I have been in contact with personally. And many of you have heard about the Paris Agreement for climate change. And of course, excuse me, I don't think I've got COVID, but I do seem to have picked up a bug somewhere. But I want to talk to you about the woman who led the path to the Paris Agreement, and that was Mrs. Christiana Figueres. And I know that it was a woman who could only have achieved that agreement. Think about the map of the world, and think about the North and the South. Think about the East and the West, and you see that within 200 plus countries, there is such a huge amount of diversity, but also such a huge amount of division in terms of their resources, in terms of their status in the world, in terms of their GDPR, all of these things. And so just thinking about this variety and trying to bring all nations together to an agreement was actually an amazing achievement. But this wonderful woman, Christiana Figueres, who I got to know a little through our time together at so many of the conferences for climate change, she would make time to have a little spot of meditation. She knew that meditation was absolutely a way to empower the self to deal with all the challenges that are around. And she managed to get all the nations to come to an agreement. And yes, we still have to see how things move forward. And it's still one of the biggest challenges of our time. But it's wonderful that at some point within the story of climate change, countries could actually come to an agreement. And I think it was especially because she had women's qualities, feminine qualities, and of course, yes, very much part of the world scenario. And so the qualities needed to be able to lead in today's world that allowed her to do this. But specifically, it was her values and her deep desire to be inclusive and not exclusive, not to exclude anyone at all. And then I also want to mention the dadis. The dadis are the term that we use for our senior women leaders. And I've had the great fortune of knowing all of them because I've been associated with the Brahma Kumaris since very early childhood. And I first saw Mama, the mother. She was an amazing leader herself, but also absolutely based on inner values. And then I saw how Brahma Baba, the founder of our organization, handed over responsibility to Dadi Prakash Mani, who led the organization from 1969 through to 2007. Can you imagine a leadership that was unbroken for that length of time? And from there, what we saw was that our organization moved from being one that was just located in India to becoming a global organization. We also saw the number of our centers move from around 400 something to around 9,000. And so those are just the statistical achievements. But the way that she held everyone together, again, was very much this awareness of the feminine that is to include everyone. And she set up many, many teams so that there could be so many different people involved in that decision making. And it was something that was coming not just top bottom, but from bottom up also, listening to people and understanding them. And then the next one was Dadi Janki, who I knew intimately because I spent most of my life with her. And for 40 years, she was with us in London. And even when she came back to resettle in India, when she became the chief of the organization, she still continued a very close connection with London with visits right until 2019, when she was actually 103 years of age. So that was, again, another amazing woman. But what I also want to talk about is a little bit of research that has been done by the University of Coventry. And when Coventry University was looking into the whole subject of leadership, what they found was that there were a few characteristics that people would talk about in terms of an ideal leader. And in terms of the people that I've mentioned already, definitely we saw those qualities in these individuals. So the very first one that has been mentioned was the fact that women are inclusive. No discrimination. They want to include everybody in the decision-making process, and they offer equal opportunities to all. Now, I hope this is true of all women, but certainly I know that this is true of the women that I've mentioned. And so to have that vision, which is holistic and inclusive, in which truly everybody feels that, yes, they have a stake in the outcome, and they use that voice to be able to move towards that. So this is a very, very important quality. And you can see that wherever there are people who do believe in that idea of inclusivity, it means that everybody is given an opportunity to move forward. And then another quality that Coventry University found was that a leader is someone who walks their talk. If people see that you're saying one thing and doing something that's very, very different, then that's not a very good leader. Otherwise, people lose their trust. They're not able to trust that individual. But if they see that the leader is actually doing what it is they're talking about, then yes, they win people's hearts and they win their trust. And so everybody's cooperation is able to help them move further along the journey. And there's going to be benefit for all. A third quality that they found in terms of leadership was that a leader always keeps their promise. Otherwise, you break trust again. And so if I say, I will do this, and then, as we've seen in the world so often nowadays, they turn around and do something else, or they don't fulfill that commitment properly, then people begin to wonder, what sort of leader do we have? And they don't allow that leader to continue. But where truly a promise is given and that promise is kept, then that is leadership. And so, again, I saw that in the Dadis, certainly every single promise that they made was something that they kept. They walked their talk, they kept their promises, and they were totally inclusive. And then the fourth thing was that they weren't self-centered and selfish, but rather they were concerned with benefit for all, the benevolence feeling for all. And so, again, where there's a leader who's concerned with lining their own pockets, then that also, in a world that demands transparency, that becomes pretty clear and trust is broken. But if women say, whatever it is that I do is going to be of benefit for others, then yes, that woman has a very good chance of becoming a leader. So that big vision, which isn't just for me, but the big vision which is for all, we, I see that that becomes such an important part of leadership. And so I'm seeing that whatever has been the research that Coventry University did, and it was, I've shared it in just the essence of a few sentences, but you can imagine the amount of research and work that went into coming to this particular conclusion. Well, I see that that really is something that has been taught by spirituality. Yes, women and their role in value-based leadership is something that you can find examples about all over the world. I know that Scandinavia, the Nordic countries, have a wonderful example of women's leadership, both in Iceland as well as in Finland. And maybe there are other places I'm not mentioning, but again, in New Zealand, we have an amazing woman who's a leader there too. So across the world, we see women who have a major role in which they're actually revealing the qualities that they have as women. And what I'd like to say is that certainly from a spiritual perspective, and when I mentioned the Dadis, and when I mentioned Dadi Janki, she actually was the one who was able to inspire and empower and allow women to become leaders across the world. The growth across the world from one country to practically the whole globe was through her leadership in particular, but in a very specific way. She would allow men and women, but somehow in the spiritual arena, women seem to come forward faster. She would allow them to start teaching and start taking responsibility for administration, right from a very early age. And by age, I mean both in terms of physical age, but also in terms of their age when they started their spiritual journey. And so I saw her allow a young man become a teacher after 1 month of studying. Some of you may know him. I'm talking about Anthony Strano. And yes, he became an instrument to open centers in many different places across the world, but also, of course, women. And what was the secret of this? How is it that an organization that started in just one place in India and had women as its leaders, women who had no political convictions or political authority, how did they propel this organization to move forward? And I think that they would all say, because it wasn't me, it wasn't I, we were channels, we were instruments for the love of the divine to flow through. When the song at the beginning finished, there were 3 words that were highlighted on the screen. And that was peace, love, and wisdom are the keys for a better world. And I would say that through spiritual awareness, where you're able to go on that inner journey and tap into your own inner state of peace, your own inner state of love and of wisdom, then these are the keys that allow you to serve people. Rather than the word leader, and the dadis who I've quoted never ever liked this word leader. They would say we are servers. And so that spirit of service as an instrument, that humility in which there's been a huge amount of spiritual endeavor to make sure that the limited ego of I doesn't come into the picture, but rather there's the awareness of the eternal I, the spiritual self, the soul. When there's this inner practice over a period of time, and of course these dadis were able to spend a lifetime in meditation, right from their teenage years, they were meditators until they finally moved on to further pastures, to further service in whatever form and whatever role. But they spent their lifetime not just sitting in a corner meditating in a cave, but they were very much part of all the adventures that happen on the world stage and all the things that go on. And so what they did was begin their day with time for the self, which meant time in silence, in introspection, in connecting with the divine, drawing from the source the highest attributes so that they could awaken those qualities within themselves also, and also spiritual study, so that they had this motto of lifelong learning, long before it became a phrase that we use in our day-to-day language. But lifelong learning was their life. They were always intent on pursuit of truth through learning, through understanding, through listening, and being able to move forward on the basis of this. And so that morning time was devoted to spiritual study and personal upliftment. And it also meant that because they were recharging the battery through the day, they were able to draw on their own values within the self and express them in their life, in their behavior, in their activity with everyone around them. If there's peace, then there's never going to be a yes for any violence of any form, whether it's violence in words, violence in actions, violence against people, or even violence against the animal world and all forms of life, or even violence against nature and the environment. And so they followed the path of peace, knowing that this is what is going to lead to a world of peace. Just imagine We say we want to fight for peace. Some people say this. And so, what is my destination going to be? If the path that I follow is one of violence and fighting, what is going to be my destination? Just reflect on that for a moment. But if today the path is the path of peace that I tread, then what lies ahead for me is a world of peace also. And when I have this practice of linking to the source, the divine source of love, and I'm able to draw that love within myself, this is what allows me to have a big heart and be inclusive and offer everyone an opportunity to move forward. If I don't have this ability to recharge the love within the self by connecting with the divine, then I run out of love. And when I run out of love, I run out of compassion. And a leader without love, a leader without compassion, is definitely not going to allow his country, her country, to be a better place in the world. And so love is absolutely vital, but also wisdom. When there's wisdom, then there's a journey towards truth. And in that journey towards truth, what can happen is that we're able to uplift everyone along with us. Today, we live not only in an era of post-truth, we live in a world in which falsehood has become the norm. You see a little video clip and you ask yourself the question, or you ask your friends, is this for real? And with a little bit of investigation, very often it comes out that it wasn't for real. It was false. Today, when you hear the news, you know that there has to be a percentage discount because there'll be a very different story from the other side. And so wisdom, allowing us to perceive truth and move towards truth in our lives personally, is absolutely a vital key for leadership for the future. And so I'm seeing that if we're thinking about women leading the world, and I think it's time to redress this balance so that then there can be equality. There was something that was called affirmative action that the late President Mandela talked about and made sure it happened in South Africa under the new South Africa, the democratic South Africa that emerged in the 90s. And so in the same way, I'm seeing that if you're looking at the world scenario, perhaps we need to have affirmative action that gives women that opportunity to display their leadership through their values. And definitely, I'm sure that having women as leaders, women who have that deep conviction that it's only through values that we can create a better world, that such a world can come about. I know that we've had many challenges, we've overcome many challenges, but there's still very much a glass ceiling. And I wonder, how can we break through that? And I don't think it's a physical fight or labor that's going to allow us to move beyond that ceiling. I think more it's a question of being able to go deep within ourselves, and the values will speak for themselves. The values that we follow are going to be able to tell the world what it is that is needed. And so my good wishes to everybody on the planet that we move towards a better world. But I especially want to applaud the work of women. And I especially want to say that the work that needs to be done is not an external thing. It's an inner work, which isn't hard labor or effort. It's just a question of awareness, shifting our awareness from just that external identity of being a woman to understanding that the inner being has masculine and feminine qualities. And in that awareness of my spiritual identity of the soul, I can allow the highest of both aspects to emerge so that, yes, truly then, we can be architects and instruments, and create a better world for all. Thank you for your attention. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, Sister Jayanti. That was very enlightening and also very insightful. So now let me have a look at the chat. Any questions? Yes, there is one or two. This question from someone is, women in senior management roles contribute to the high performance and profitability of a company. However, their numbers remain small. What advice would you give to the men to increase women's participation?
I think that when it comes to recruitment, if men have that conscious awareness that if there is a woman who has equivalent qualities and qualifications, then it's important to give the woman a chance. Like I mentioned earlier, perhaps we need a little bit of time for affirmative action. And so giving women that extra opportunity is absolutely vital. So I think, thank you for your question. It's a wonderful question. And I hope that men who are listening will take up this challenge of opening the door further. And what you'll find is that, yes, definitely the human resource factor will be enhanced in your company. You'll also find that women bring in excellence. They really put in everything that they have to do things with excellence rather than mediocrity.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti. And there's one more question. Women have to balance a full-time job as well as raise their own family. What advice would you give to these women? And in particular, what awareness should women maintain in order to boost their confidence? So 2 questions in one. What advice to give to these women who have to juggle balance between full-time job and the family?
I see that the question is missing out an important ingredient, and I want to tackle that first, because it's not just a question of job and family. There's another factor, and that is me. And I don't mean me in an egoistic way. I mean me in the sense of knowing that I, the inner being, need to nurture myself. I need to be able to empower myself, not wait for somebody else to empower me, but to really absolutely make sure that my inner battery has so much strength and energy every single day that I can cope with all the issues that come in front of me. And I'd suggest a very simple little formula. First is to be able to give time to myself. And women are notoriously bad at that. They will always put everyone else first rather than themselves. But in this case, I think it's so important to give time for the self. And the best is, of course, the early morning hours. If I recharged my own spiritual battery, then I'm ready for the day. And then the second is to value relationships. Again, we are taught that work and productivity and the end result is the most important, that the task is important. Of course it is, but not at the expense of relationships. If I put the inner power first, the inner awareness, and the consciousness of my inner being, the soul. Second, I put relationships. That includes relationships at work as well as at home. And thirdly, then the task. And again, that applies on both levels. The task of getting the work done at home, all the different tasks, but also the work done at work. If I've done the first thing, empowered myself through that connection in silence with the divine, I draw on whatever it is I need that can sustain me and also allow me to be one who can give. That second step in terms of relationships, again, whether at home or at work, let me be the one who's able to give rather than demanding attention, having needs that others need to fulfill. No, my needs are fulfilled by connecting with the source. Then I'm able to give. And whether at home or at work, anyone who's a giver is going to be successful. Everybody is going to rally around and support them and cooperate with them and collaborate with them. And so all the tasks get done that much more quickly and more easily. And so I suggest that this is the way to go. And the second question, when I'm in touch with my inner being, then I recognize the values that I carry within myself. And I learn to value myself. When I value myself, I can value others, and others will then reciprocate, and they will be able to value me. If I put my trust in how others see me, and are they valuing me or not, my self-esteem goes down because the outside changes from one moment to the next. But in that state where I value myself through my own spiritual awareness and the values that I carry within myself, then I could give. I'm not waiting for somebody else to value me, but I value myself. And because I'm valuing others, they also respond to me in the same way.
Thank you. That was a very beautiful answer. I hope whoever who asked that question, we are happy with that. And can I there's just one more, a few, but just one more last question, maybe a brief answer for this. The question is, there may be situations in which, as a leader in an organization, I need to make decisions for my own security and recognition as a leader. In this case, will my decision be effective for both parties?
At the time of making decisions, I have to be very centered. And before making my decision, I have to learn to discern what are all the different elements, what are the different energies. And I found that going inside and connecting with the inner being gives me that capacity to have 180 degrees vision, being able to see the needs and the energies on both sides, and then coming back to that center point of the self within, just like when you have the old-fashioned scales, the pointer has to be central. So I have to be centered without desires and attachments pulling me in either direction. And in that state of being centered, then I can make the right decision. So first step, discernment, understand what's going on. Second step, be centered. And in that centering, then in that inner state of silence and the highest awareness, the decision is going to be the right one.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. That was very nice again. And so now we will have a few minutes of meditation. Sister Jayanti will share some thoughts to guide us. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this special moment of silence with Sister Jayanti.
Excuse me. Yes, sit comfortably and let the whole body relax. Let your shoulders drop down. I invite you to follow these ideas, focusing on the inner being, the soul. I go deeper and deeper within the self, coming to the awareness of the being that I am, the being of light, the being of peace, the being of truth, and wisdom. In this awareness of my eternal nature, my eternal identity, I feel the presence of the source, the divine. And from that being, I fill myself with all the positive attributes. And this energy allows peace to emerge within myself. And I find myself in an ocean of peace. Peace from within and peace from the source. And the power of this peace radiates out, touching my human family, touching all forms of life, touching the elements of nature, and peace surrounds us all, and peace returns to our world. I hold this awareness of peace. I come back to the awareness of the physical dimension. And as I do so, it's now with that commitment to keep peace in my thoughts, to share peace through my words, and to demonstrate peace through my actions. Om Shanti. Thank you to Brahma Kumaris Malaysia for organizing this, and thank you to everyone who's given their time to create this, and to all those who are watching and listening to give your time to be with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Jayanti. I really enjoyed your talk. It's really broadened my perspective and understanding on this topic. I'm sure everyone will have found it very enlightening and insightful. And just now the meditation was so calming and yet so refreshing. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, in spite of your very busy schedule. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I would like to invite Madam Taslima Sawa, wife of Bangladesh Deputy High Commissioner, to share her words of inspiration. Madam Taslima graduated from Dhaka University and has postgraduate diploma in interior designing and planning from Target Institute of Management, India. She also holds a yoga instructor certificate and S Visa, University, Bangalore, India. So very warm welcome, Madam Taslima. We look forward to hearing your words of inspiration. Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum and good day to you all. At the outset, I wish a happy Women's Day to all the beautiful and courageous women present here. International Women's Day is very special for all women of the world, as it is a day when, irrespective of gender, race, color, and culture, we all come together, dream together, and put our thoughts together to create a world full of harmony, love, and care for each other. As the famous Bengali poet and the national poet of Bangladesh, Kazi Nazrul Islam said more than a century ago, I quote, "বিশ্বে যা মহান সৃষ্টি চিরকল্যাণকর অর্ধেক তার করিয়াছে নারী অর্ধেক তার নর." Unquote. It means half of the great creation in the world that eternally beneficial are made by women, half by men. From the prehistoric time, the world had been moving forward on the path of civilization through the joint effort of men and women. On this auspicious day, I thank international community, especially to the United Nations, for declaring the 8th March as International Women's Day. The theme of 2022 International Women's Day is Gender Equality Today for Sustainable Tomorrow. I am happy to share with you that despite enormous socio-economic challenges, Bangladesh, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, made great progress in women empowerment and gender parity. In fact, according to the United Nations, Bangladesh is one of the leading countries in South Asia to reduce the gender gap much faster than its neighbors. The year 2022 is pivotal for achieving gender equality in the context of climate change and environmental and disaster risk reduction, which are some of the greatest global challenges of the 21st century. Without gender parity, a sustainable future for us and our children remains a far cry. International Women's Day celebrates the fact that women around the world are united and has been fighting to create a balanced platform for all, irrespective of gender, which will ensure recognition of the contribution of women and men in the same manner. We are here to celebrate women's achievements in various social, economic, political, and cultural fields. It is a day to show love, care, and respect for all women. In addition, we also need to raise awareness about the issue like gender equality, reproductive rights, violence, and abuse against women. I wish to conclude by saying that as the International Women's Day is declared to celebrating the accomplishment of women in all fields, let us all work together to make the world a better place for human beings. Let us all respect and cherish the women in our daily lives and encourage them to achieve large future goals. I thank the organization for arranging this beautiful event today. I also thank the audience for sparing your precious time to join the event. Thank you all, Dhonnobad and Terima kasih. May God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Madam Taslima, for your beautiful message. And now I would like to invite Dato' Lechumanan Ramata, President of Brahma Kumaris Malaysia, to give his word of thanks. But before I call upon him to speak, please allow me to say a few words about Dato' Lechumanan, or Brother Lechu as he is fondly called. Brother Lechu has spent about 40 years or more in learning, teaching, and researching the techniques of empowering the mind through the practice of Raj Yoga meditation. Brother Lechu retired from his professional career as the Director General of the Biosafety Department of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment in Malaysia in the year 2017. But he continues to serve in regional and United Nations agencies on a voluntary basis in various fields like in environment, forestry, biodiversity, and biosafety. So Brother Lechu, welcome, and please over to you now. Thank you. Unmute, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm so happy that many of you are interested in seeing that our population, men and women, are able to really live in a situation where we are able to be happy all the time. Looking at the chaotic situation in the world, the topic on the role of women values based on leadership is very appropriate for this time. Actually, each one of us, we are a leader. There's a leader inside me. When I'm able to realize that inner energy in me, and I begin to believe and create that awareness in myself, I see that I become someone who is very confident, who is tolerant, who is peaceful in any situation, if I am able to practice this for a long time. So all of us, men and women, we have these inner resources in ourselves. If we are able to develop these inner resources by following a proper study, it is I'm very sure we all be able to really manage ourselves. We all be able to lead ourselves in whatever situation. I will have a clear intellect and a clear mind as to what exactly I need to do. Today, what people want. What people want is a world which is very peaceful. Everywhere people are asking for peace and happiness. So let me find a way, learn this method of taking out my inner resources and share with others. In that way, I am a leader who want to share what I have achieved so that others too can achieve this and live a very peaceful life. I'm sure from the talk by Didi Jayanti, you must have taken some very significant points which you can use it to guide you in your life. Now, may I take the opportunity to thank all of you for being with us this evening, especially to His Excellency Sri B.N. Reddy, Indian High Commissioner to Malaysia, and Madam Taslima Sarwar, wife of the Bangladesh Deputy High Commissioner to Malaysia, for the cooperation that they have rendered to us. And a big thank you to Didi Jayanti for being a resource person for us this evening. And thank you to all of you. Thank you and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lachumanan, for your kind words of thanks and your appreciation. Thank you. So dear sisters and brothers, for the Brahma Kumaris, no program is complete without blessings. And so this evening, we'll share with you blessings filled with words of positivity. We have 8 very beautiful and meaningful blessings in the name of flowers for you to choose from. So just choose one, and that will be your special blessing for the day. Okay, are you ready? Just choose one blessing.
You are a spiritual rose. You are abundant with all virtues and have such humility that others see only greatness in you. You are a spiritual lotus. Your clean and honest heart radiates sweetness and truth. Others find this very comforting and feel safe in your presence. You are a spiritual orchid. You are a forgiving soul who understands that it is never a question of blame, but an answer of mercy. You are a spiritual tulip. Your peaceful nature makes life easy for everyone and inspires them to develop tolerance and patience. You are a spiritual sunflower. With the power of pure thoughts, you are selfless, ever contented, and never influenced by anyone's negativity. You are a spiritual Gerbera. With self-respect, nothing can shake you as you uphold truth and spiritual values in this world. You are a spiritual daisy. You are a forgiving soul who understands that it is never a question of blame, but an answer of mercy. You are a spiritual chrysanthemum. Your heart is filled with the creative power to accept the past, decorate the present, and transform the future.
So ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, I hope you have got the blessings that is most suitable for you. And so now please stay with me. We have some important announcements for you. We have a follow-up program. As a follow-up to this evening's program, we have planned for you a special talk on the art of positive thinking. And this will be on Saturday, the 26th of March, from 8 to 9 p.m. So please do join us. The link and the link is there in the flyer. I think we can have a look at the flyer, and I think we can also put the number there, the link in the chat, so that you can just join like that immediately. No need to register. So the art of positive thinking on Saturday, the 26th. And we have free meditation courses available at all centers throughout the world. And in Malaysia, we are offering in 3 languages. We have in English, Tamil, and Mandarin. And so for the English, the flyer is there now. It's the flyer for the English 7-day course. You can register using this link in the chat box. And this is for the Tamil 7-day course. You can register also using the link in the chat. This is for Tamil. Just now was for English. You can have a look at the chat box. The links are all there. And this is the free meditation course in Mandarin. And those who are interested can contact. They don't need you to register using the link, but you can contact these 2 persons, Susan and Mimi. Their names and phone numbers are also in the chat. Just take a photo of it and you can contact them directly. So these are the online courses, but now that the MCO is lifted, centers throughout Malaysia are also conducting face-to-face classes. You can go to our website, www.brahmakumaris.my, to find out the center that is nearest to you, and you can come over and have the classes face to face. So ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, brothers and sisters, we have come to the end of the program. And on behalf of the Brahma Kumaris, I would like to thank our esteemed speakers, Sister Jayanti, His Excellency Sri Reddy, and Madam Taslima, and the President of Brahma Kumaris, Dr. Lachumanan. Thank you to all of you, and especially to all of you out there listening on Zoom and on YouTube. My heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for taking time off to join us this evening and helping us to make this program a great success. So thank you so much. Good night and God bless.
each one soul by soul. I know you hold it in your heart as you watch your life unfold. So go to the sea, flow to the ocean, fly like a bird to his arms. Take all the love of all who will miss you, but know we are never apart. Thank you for your inspiration, for your life and love. Thank